Good morning, it's Kim with www.embody-light.com, and I'm back with another video about the human energy field. I've been a little busy lately, so I have not been able to spend much time making videos. So what I'm going to talk about today, and if you have not done so, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to quickly talk about my business for just a moment before I get started. But I do hypnotherapy, energy repatterning, basic energy healing. Our souls are what is really responsible for our health and well being. And because of traumas and different things we have that occur in our physical lives, a part of our soul often doesn't come in and integrate into our body. And that's over long run what can actually cause physical disease. So, what we work on is finding that root cause and clearing the energy blocks. And I explain this a lot more in other videos you can go back and watch. But so today, what I want to specifically talk about is the seventh level of our human energy field. That's what we would refer to as our crown chakra. And this level contains your life plan. Um, it brings in awarenesses through upper dimensions, source, angels, guides, Christ consciousness, that kind of thing. It all comes in through your crown chakra. The sense that you'll have if your crown chakra is opening and functioning is claircognizance or clear knowing. So things like knowings, aptitudes, inspirations, ideas are going to come in through your crown chakra when it's open. And when it's open, you have the feeling of surrender and peace and wholeness. So, and as I've said before, our chakras work together to the number 8. So, this chakra also will represent our connection with authority figures. So, if we have fear of authority figures or have given our power away to authority figures, we can shut that down. One of the common ways I know of that I find when I do work with clients that they have shut down at the crown is religious abuse or spiritual abuse in any way. A common thing that happens, and I've spoke of this many times, is and I can only speak of how it's told in the society I was raised up, but I was raised Catholic and I no longer participate in that, but it did give me some good basic knowledge, life skills. But they portray that they are the only way and that everybody else who doesn't believe that way actually goes to hell when they die. And that's simply not true. And so if you have, and then as children growing up, so this being that we call God, I no longer actually say God. I will, unless it's accidental because it's so ingrained in me, I prefer to say creator or source, because how many gods have we been told about throughout history? We all think they're folklore, but or a lot of people think they are, but they weren't. They were actually looked at as gods. So to be clear, I only align with source and the creator. But anyway, so if we growing up have had a situation, because this source is called our father, if we have had issues with authority figures or our own fathers, as small children, we're going to mix that up and we're going to, especially if we're being traumatized, we're going to make the analogy that this other father that's up there that we're told about is also a psychopath or whatever you think. And to tell you the truth, when I was a small child, I thought God was a psychopath because one of the male authority figures in my life that was raising me was a psychopath. Okay. So a lot of times we will cut ourselves off from that. Or if one of the things like in my family that would go on, I'd question their beliefs because they didn't make any sense. So then that automatically meant that I didn't fit in and that I was kind of doomed. And that's how they always treated me. Okay. So because before I explained about what keeps it open and what closes it, because it works together in the physical with our first chakra, which has to do with our physical, our safety and security, finances, all of those kinds of things are things on those, well, first and second levels. And if you're closed off at the crown, you're going to have a misunderstanding and pull things into your physical reality that would not be beneficial or natural to you, and preventative of healing. So I'm going to give you an example. This is something that happened very recently. I've given other examples too, but this one is just so clear in my mind right now. Recently, I was involved, and this wasn't a client, it was just someone I knew who had gotten sick and needed to be in the hospital. And so while this individual was there, and this individual was very ill, but I could see them getting better and better over time. You know, they were there 2, 3 days, something like that. And I could see them slowly getting better. The treatment they were using was working. They needed to be there. They were having a really, I would say, of some of the hospital experiences I've seen, this person was actually being treated very well and having as good an experience as she could based on what was going on around her. So this is all, you know, she's slowly getting better. And I'm watching this. I was there a lot. And then there was some confusion with the insurance because of a job change. And this individual thought that she did not have any health insurance. So immediately cut herself off from the crown chakra because she got so afraid. She thought she was going to have this huge bill. She's ruined for life, blah, 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 blah. So I could see her every time she'd think about that bill and how she was going to take care of that and what it was going to mean for the rest of her life. I could see, because one of the indicators that she was getting better was the pain was getting less and less and less with this situation. But as soon as she would get that information or start worrying about it or stressing about it, the pain level would go up. Her color would change. She didn't look as good. That is because she got so afraid on that physical level that she tried to shut down so she didn't feel that fear. And then also shut down her crown, which is the area that needed to be open to bring the healing into her body. And that's just how it works. So if you're in survival mode or any of those kinds of things, or physically ill, it may be a little bit harder than normal. You may be closing off your crown chakra. And when I say closing off, it doesn't mean that it's completely closed, but it means that like imagine you have a drain that's clogged and just a little bit is coming through this clogged drain. That's kind of how it is. So the first part I'm going to tell you about is the shadow aspect. And that is the aspect of ourselves. We're either going to be in shadow function or spirit function. Shadow function is the aspects of ourself that doesn't work out so great, that where we cause ourselves to self-sabotage, excuse me, I can't talk today, and shut down that energy that's coming into our body. So here are some of the signs that you are still in shadow function. If you feel a need for growth, nothing feels good enough, you perceive separation, you hold resentment, mistrust, and judgment. And you have this basic, thought process of who am I and where do I belong in this world? You would tend to see things only through human intelligence and not the divine heart. And human intelligence is very limited. Another thing you might find yourself doing, if you are still in shadow function, is separating yourself from others by feeling that you are different or somehow special and you just don't fit in. You may fear divine guidance. And now if you're on spirit function at this level, you would recognize that growth comes from within. And you would see things through the divine heart. You would recognize you are creation in motion. Instead of questioning, who am I, you would have an awareness of the I am presence. And what the I am presence means, let me clarify that, is you know that you are part of the divine creation. You are a part of source. You are a part of that light. You are a spark of that. And you know and you understand that. When you're in shadow function, often you're feeling you're unworthy and you don't deserve that. You would recognize yourself as a unique individual expression of the whole. You would understand that at this level, if you're in spirit function, that the physical reality is actually a hologram of source, and it's a hologram we often create ourselves. So that's kind of some of the basic differences. Now, this level, I didn't mention this, also nourishes the right eye, upper brain, pineal gland, and crown, are all nourished by what comes in through our crown chakra. And I'm going to also link the Christ consciousness video here because when you're open at this level and you're clear about it, you actually are getting into the level where you can touch into the Christ consciousness, which is actually more of a 12th dimensional thing. But from this crown chakra, we can start to integrate that into our lives, put it that way. So briefly, I'm going to talk about two other levels, our 8th level and the 9th level. So the 8th level, that would be above our heads. That still has beings that are 8th dimensional in reality, still have a vague recognition of their self-individualization. I can't say that right. When they communicate with us who can hear them or with each other, they do it by a blending of energy fields. It's kind of a synergistic thing. Sound is absent in this level, and it only exists as light and color in motion. So this is the level where you may connect with certain guides or a council, and I have at certain points in my work connected with this level. And what always surprises me is, and I think it's kind of funny, is that often they don't understand the human journey and the human energy field. I have been in sessions with people, and now this isn't typical because not everybody can do this, where they've connected with guides or beings that are on one of these levels, and maybe we're doing a healing, and I've had to tell them, wait, you guys have to slow down. I talk to them just like that. You guys have to slow down. My client here, we're doing a healing, and if you want to communicate with her and tell her something, you're going to get much better results after this healing, because your energy field coming into her energy field is too much for her right now. And I get the feeling that they're very surprised. They had no idea that they would have that kind of an impact. And I've had that happen before where I've had to explain to them, no, wait, my human field cannot take this right now. You've got to bring this information in slower or do something to prepare me for this. It's just such a strong vibration. Till you can hold it, it's really hard to do. So then the level above that is the 9th dimension. And really, there's no words even to describe this level. I can't. I really can't. But when you hear of people speaking this is where your collective of your soul family resides. And so it's very much like communicating with a collective, and out of that collective, they can individuate, but it seems like just barely. So when you hear people talk about the nine, or Ra is another one, Ra is beings at that level would communicate with the Ra are at this ninth level, and beings here who can communicate with them, you've heard of a few, are able to hear, see, perceive into the ninth dimension. And that does take some practice. Now, there are levels above that, but I do not have the knowledge at this time to adequately describe them, except for that I know that Christ, the Christ level, is actually a 12th dimensional being. Christ was a 12th dimensional being. That's why when he had his life on earth and was born, that's why the wise men brought the frankincense, the myrrh, and the gold, because the gold helped him, because he was such a high dimensional being. He had a hard time holding his physical form. So the gold that was brought to him somehow helped him to be able to hold a physical form. And that's basically all I know about it. And then I believe, and don't quote me because I could be wrong about this, but then I believe that the dimension that we would call the 13th dimension would actually be that of source. I could be wrong, but that's what I've gotten at this time. So I'm going to end this video with this. I'm going to come back and make another video about what our chakra system actually is, because it's not really exactly as people are thinking. And I myself was quite surprised when I learned of this. And I will also make another video where I have sound recordings on the tones that are specifically going to help you to open and clear yourself at this crown chakra level. So with that, have a blessed day. I love you all. My name is Kim. My website is www.embody-light.com, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.